Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Willfully Wrought. My name is William, and today I received a very light, involuntary suntan in the distance between my car and my front door after work.
Well done. And my name's Will, and I stayed in and watched movies today.
I'm a little jealous, actually. One of the things we're going to cover today, I did sit in recently and watch a movie, and it had been a while since I'd sat down and done that. Most of the time, I'm always like running from A to B and trying to get this one thing or the other done. But sitting down and just watching something and enjoying it from time to time is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice to just kind of take a load off and enjoy what other people have created.
Oh yeah. And speaking about taking a load off, this is our first bit of content we've really produced in like 6 weeks. So it's good to be back in the studio, man. Welcome back, Will.
Yeah, and same to you, Will. Welcome back.
How has your summer gone so far, man?
Dude, my summer's been great. We've done a lot of traveling, saw some family members cross the stage for their high school diplomas, which was really exciting to see.
Yeah.
And then I also was able to take a trip with my sister to Universal Studios, which I was mapping it out the last time I was at Universal Studios, and this is in Orlando, Florida, was almost to the day 30 years ago.
That's a long time.
It was great. It was great. It was awesome. My breath was taken away 3 times, just from the scale, the scope, and just the nostalgia, if I'm being honest. So it was great. It was great. It was highly wonderful. How was your summer?
Mine was pretty solid, man. I also went to Florida to watch my nephew cross the stage at his high school graduation. It felt good. It was the school he graduated from was the crosstown rival of the school I graduated from. So there was this real deep nostalgia moment for it, where I was back in my old stomping grounds, like looking around at where my cousin grew up and where I spent some time. I played football on the field that he walked on when I was in high school. So it was just one of those things that you don't expect to hit you 20 years later when you go back. So it was just a real deep-seated feeling. It's just, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And just that, yeah, dude, it was really nice. It was just good to go home and see that.
This was, let's see, since we've come to the Northwest, Northeast. I promise I'm not directionally challenged. Northeast. Since we've moved up to the Northeast, this was our second time coming back to Kansas City, and for the first time since we've moved, it was kind of a realization that city wasn't home anymore. And granted, home is wherever my friends and family are, right?
Yeah.
But it was very interesting going back and saying, wow, there's a lot of changes that have been made to this city. It is, I guess my heart has relinquished it to the people who are still there. And so that was a very interesting sensation and experience to go through. Not something I've really gone through before.
Yeah, man. In the times that I've visited Florida in the past, it was always just to see family, but this was like a celebratory, once in a lifetime moment.
Sure.
To watch it, and yeah, dude, I absolutely want to echo that. That it's just that wonderful feeling. And but there's also that getting back home, man. At the end of vacation, I always long for my own bed. I can't think of a time that I was like, well, man, I have to go back home and I have to sleep in my own bed like it was a punishment. I've never had that feeling. I've always been, I want to get home back into my bed where I've got that one pillow that I understand where the lumps are and I know where to rest my head.
For me, I'm the same way. However, everyone goes through this. I have to go home. I cannot wait to sleep a full night in my bed. However, that also means that I got to go to work in the morning, and I don't miss that.
That's true. Xanda accuses you of being directionally challenged. I just wanted to let you know.
Yes, she sure does. Okay. She also lied and told me she wasn't going to listen to the podcast. So,
Well, now don't call our viewers liars, Will. Very
I
nice.
think she yelled something to me from the other room. Sorry, Xander.
Well, what else have you gone through recently? I know I've got a couple of things related to some of our past past topics to go through.
Yeah, so something that we talked about in a previous episode. I don't remember what episode we talked about it in, but I just got done watching James Gunn's Superman.
Ooh, and how was it?
I'm gonna give it two strong thumbs up. I very much enjoyed it. A little history with me and the character, because I know that a lot of people are basing this off of their previous history or prior history to Superman. I was never a really big Superman comic reader.
Yeah.
I loved for the longest time, Superman to me was Lois and Clark, that old TV show that they did reruns on TNT.
With Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything more millennial than me saying that?
I have the same memories. I was a little bit older, but yeah, like that was definitely those memories will always be in my head, especially when she was eating those frogs. But go ahead, sorry.
Absolutely. No, that to me is Superman, right? And I love the memory so much that I have access to watching that show now, and I refuse to do it because I refuse to soil those memories without what the actual quality of that show is. Right? So but that was my Superman. And then of course I watched the original movies with Christopher Reeve. I did go and see and was very disappointed by Man of Steel, and of course, then everything that came to pass with Zack Snyder's iteration of the character, which I consider it his iteration, not so much Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was the tool to bring about Zack Snyder's vision for the character. That is what I would say. Henry Cavill is a very capable actor. I really like him as the Witcher. But we're not here to dump on things yet. We'll dump on some things here, but we're not going to dump on that one. The difference in going to see this movie, though, for me, is that this is the first time that I've really exposed my 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old son to the character. We have tried showing him the animated series, which that animated series is also excellent. The Justice League animated show, the Superman animated show, also very good. Going back and rewatching those are very dark, like in content and like story wise. Like I was surprised. I was watching that and going, no wonder all the millennials are jaded. Look at what we watched.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I went back and there's definitely like a, when those things pop up on like YouTube, like this advertising is like, oh, hey, watch this moment from Superman the animated series from 15 years ago. One, I think it's more than 15 years ago. Two,
it's about 30, my friend, 30 to 25.
You shut your mouth. But going back and watching those moments, you can absolutely see like the really dark things. Like when you're a kid, you're like, oh man, that's badass. When you're an adult, you're like, oh, he's holding back from murdering that dude because he just killed a city. Like it's a much darker tone. You have a full understanding of what's happening, and yeah, I absolutely want to echo that. I think especially like Batman the animated series too. That was another one.
Very much so, and that one even Batman more so, just because that was just set in 1930s like noir, like it just was. It was super cool, and dearly loved those shows. But this movie, man, experiencing and witnessing the character viewed from my son's point of view, a magical experience. It also helped that a character previously never seen in a live action form was there, Crypto, Superman's dog, which actually Crypto is not his dog. He's just kind of watching it. No spoilers from me, but I believe he's not his dog in the comics as well. Or DC comics are weird. They're strange. They redo the universe every 5 years, so
Yeah.
who knows, right? But the thing that I was left with this Superman is there is very much, so the old phrase for Superman is truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
And that's Superman. But with this one, without rewriting that line, of which that line is never uttered in this movie, but I am just left with such hope, like hope and love. Like there's a moment in this, and again, no spoilers, but I'm gonna talk about just light story elements.
Yeah.
There's a moment where a character is just like, why does he trust and love everyone? And I'm like, because he's Superman. He would trust and love everyone, which is such a far cry from who Zack Snyder's Superman was, right?
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Superman was, I don't know what the best thing to do is. I don't know what to do in this situation. Spoilers for the Man of Steel. Superman allows people to die in front of him.
Yeah, he does.
Which is super disappointing. That's not Superman. Yeah. Superman is a clever person as well. He finds answers to ways to solve those types of problems. And I mean, in this movie, he goes out of his way to save single animals, to save single people, right? He is. There are other heroes, which if you've seen the trailers, you'll know that these heroes exist in this movie already.
Yeah.
You have the Green Lantern, portrayed by Nathan Fillion, with a very terrible bowl cut, which is the point of that character. And then you also have Hawkgirl, and not Mr. Fantastic. That movie comes out in 2 weeks. Mr. Terrific.
Yes.
Which is a character I'm not familiar with at all, but is very fun. And I enjoyed seeing him.
There are a lot of people who really love that character. I'm not one of them. Like Mr. Terrific is just another person for me. Like
Sure.
He doesn't really have a solid hold in the universe, but go ahead.
No, I was just like, that man has a T on his face. Like that was
yeah. That's what everyone says about Mr. Terrific.
Right. But no, I was left with such a sense of joy and hope. The movie, like Lex Luthor is Lex Luthor, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. They show us why she's a good reporter, as opposed to just saying, this is Lois Lane, our best reporter, and then just us having to assume that. We actually see why she is a good reporter.
Nice.
Because, and again, this sequence is in one of the trailers, Clark allows Lois to interview him as Superman, and she doesn't take no guff from him. She's like, no, I need the answer. And he's like, well, this is off the record. And she's like, no, it's not off the record. We're recording. It's just good. It's just good. And a lot of people are talking politically. A lot of talking heads are saying, whoa, they politicized Superman. I mean, my point of view on this is that superheroes have always been political.
Yes.
Captain America punched Hitler. Didn't Superman just throw Hitler onto I don't know if he punched Hitler, but he definitely removed him and took him to an island.
Yeah.
Right?
There's definitely like comic books where Superman deals with like Nazis and Hitler, and we can't forget the DC villains that are definitely directly inspired by that moment in time, those moments in time.
Of course, and we also need to recognize that Superman is a Jewish creation. He was created by Jewish storytellers.
Yeah.
So there is definitely that part of it. We also need to remember that this story of Superman, regardless of where he is in his journey, is always and forever a immigrant story.
Yeah.
He is a literal illegal alien.
Alien in the actual from space sense. Yes.
Correct. Yes. And he so there are a moment where two fictional countries are at war with one another or have like some sort of conflict. For the sake of this review, I'm going to call them not Israel and not Palestine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
no. But it works. It works because, again, and this is something Zack Snyder did not do, and I know I said I wasn't going to dump on it, but I guess I am. So, you see the wonder of Superman from children's point of view. Children want to be around Superman.
That's super cool.
And that, yeah. And again, I was watching it with my 5-year-old son. There's a moment where Superman is trying to, okay, again, light spoiler, nothing like that. But it's an action sequence, and Superman is doing something heroic, and he's hindered because he has some sort of, he has an animal, or he's saving something, and it's hindering the way for him to do stuff. And Crypto is with him, and my son stood up on his reclining chair and said, "Save Crypto!"
That's awesome.
So that's definitely it was great. It was a fantastic experience, and I highly recommend it. Everyone and their mother is going to have a favorite Superman, whether that be the latest incarnation from the WB, whether it's Christopher Reeve, whether that's even Superman from beforehand, animated Superman. David Cornsweet is great. He's a very good Superman, and he cares about everyone and everything's life, and that is super cool. So I appreciated it, and he wasn't pretending to be a god. He wanted to be a protector. Yeah. And it's been a while since I have seen a Superman that wanted to protect everyone.
Nice, man. It sounds like you had a really wholesome experience with that. And,
it was great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, man.
I know that also some people did not see it in that light. Some people are very critical of it, and that's fine. Enjoy what you enjoy. Fantastic Four comes out in 2 weeks, and I can't wait to talk about that as well.
No, it was dude, I'm glad you had a good time with that. I do think, yeah, the last Superman movie I saw was Man of Steel, and I know there were like 19 re-releases and 42 different color gradings of that one, but once I've seen the movie, I've seen the movie. I'm not worried about all the rest of it that goes with it. It was okay. I prefer my the DC animated universe. That's where my Superman is. That's sure. definitely top form for me. But the latest comics coming out with Absolute Superman, where he's just kind of insane, and they rewrote the history a little bit. I'm liking those too. So,
nice, yeah. I like my Superman to be again, and this is just because Marvel is so ingrained in our culture right now. I like a Superman who doesn't like bullies and isn't a bully himself.
Yeah,
I like that. And that's and I think he's definitely a Superman for our time right now. He also fights a not Godzilla, which is pretty fun too.
there's a lot of Temu versions of things in this movie. I see.
Yeah, I mean, it's James Gunn. Also, a weird moment. I don't know. Did you see his Suicide Squad?
I don't think so.
Okay, he has this weird. It's one of those things where it's like, it's weird that this has happened twice, but with two of his large monsters, there's like eye irritation stuff going on where like the heroes are irritating like big monsters' eyes.
Yeah.
He can stop with that now. Like, we're done. We don't need to do any more eye fuckery. Like, we don't need to do that.
The next monster will in fact just be one giant eyeball, and they will not use any eye.
He did that in Suicide Squad. Who was it? The giant starfish. Starro. He did it with Starro.
No, I just like you were naming, like everybody has their own Superman. I'm a little like put off by the Suicide Squad movies because that's not my Harley Quinn.
Sure.
Like it's an absolute silly reason to dislike those movies. And honestly, like on the whole, they're okay, I guess. But because I don't like that version of Harley Quinn, I disregard the entire like series.
I
Yeah.
highly recommend just checking out the second Suicide Squad movie, which is the one that he directed. The first one was David Ayer, and I have not seen it because I heard it was trash, and nothing that I have heard about it is changing my opinion on one. Well, there are other things I would rather spend my time watching.
I mean, that's reason enough to watch it.
Well, that's what you do then. You watch both movies and be disappointed in two different ways.
Well, dude, thanks for Superman. I wanted to share a similar nostalgic moment that I went through here recently. We talked about it a little bit. Prior to going on our hiatus, I talked about purchasing a large sum of Final Fantasy VII Magic the Gathering cards.
Hell yeah!
And I in fact did that. Now I was joined by one of our previous guests, Tom. He came on for our Alien series, and Tom is also a lover and entrepreneur, not entrepreneur. That's like consumer of the Magic the Gatherings. And in fact, he's got a much larger collection than I do at this point, and I'm a little envious, to be honest. And
I'm about to say we've talked about our history with Magic. Hearing you say that makes my jaw hit the floor, because you and I had huge Magic collections.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I donated mine to my nephew. I don't know if he plays to this day, but that is where it's gone. It was just taking up a lot of space in my, increasingly expensive square footage. And so anyways, I went and I purchased 3 boxes of cards, and one, I opened it and got some fantastic pulls. I got 3 versions of the Buster Sword. I got 2 versions of Full Art Sephiroth. And awesome. I got a foily Vincent, and I got a lot of just fantastic. And don't forget the Jumbo Cactuar. I got a lot of really great cards, but I did want to bring one thing to light that I absolutely was not expecting. There were several times when I was opening, pack number whatever out of 180 packs, I think.
Jeez.
Which it took hours, man. Like, you don't think about it, but every pack takes time, and like I spent hours just tearing open these cards and just going through them. And there were moments that when I was just holding cards in my hand and going through and reading them, that I would just pause and look at the art. And, we were talking about that nostalgia hit. We were talking about just sitting there and letting the memories rush over you. And I've gone on and on and on about how much I've played the Final Fantasy games in my youth, and even to, in my not so recent adulthood, I played a Final Fantasy title. I'm aware that Steam is having a Final Fantasy franchise sale. So if you're interested in picking up a Final Fantasy game, you can go over there and buy one. There were times that I would just open a card, and there were a couple. I think the first one that I caught onto it that I remember was Louis Watt's Sacrifice, where it was had the character Louis Watt from Final Fantasy 14, and it had him like covered in the light, and that was a moment from one of the cutscenes from the Final Fantasy 14 game, where he is covered in the light of Bahamut's dragon breath as it ripped apart the realm, and the magic of his sacrifice is what stopped the world from being destroyed entirely, and that was the basis of Realm Reborn, and all of the expansions thereafter was built on. And that nostalgia wave hit me as I was just reading that card and going through it, like all those feelings that I felt when I was playing through that game. And then again, when I got I got my Sephiroth pool, and I remembered how much I loved that villain, and how well he was written, and how fun he was, and and Vincent and Yuffie, like all these different cards kept coming up, and it was just like it was one of the most positive, actually no, it's probably the most positive Magic the Gathering experience that I can ever recall. And I've had a lot of fun games, like combos have gone off. It was almost enough to flip me from hating Hasbro for what they turned the game into. Almost. I don't see myself purchasing any more cards other than what it takes for me to get the whole set. Once I get one of everything, I'm done.
Until they come out with Avatar: The Last Airbender set.
I won't buy it.
No, well that's
Final
fine.
Fantasies. Yeah. That you go buy it, man. Go get it. Like, I'd probably buy Avatar before I bought the Spider-Man set. The Spider-Man's also up there pretty high. Like, I love me some Spider-Man, and
Nah,
I just
you can take Spider-Man.
no, but
Um,
the Final Fantasy card set, it was a really fantastic experience, and I'm gonna sit down and play some games of the Final Fantasy 7 block of Magic the Gathering, and I've got a lot of cards to go out there and purchase as singletons.
that's awesome. Well, I purchased one pack. One pack. I was not expecting anything, and in fact, I didn't think I pulled anything. And then I came to realize that the one pack I bought had basically the chase card for the play set booster packs. Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, which is what, a $50 card as long as they don't ban it from standard.
I'm sure that they've got their cards banned. I think they banned cards before they release them now to try to balance. Yeah, which is a little silly to me. I don't know why they would do things like that, but that's them. They gonna do what they gonna do. One of the reasons that I haven't flipped the switch on Hasbro yet. Like, that's just, I'm not I'm glad that they released this set, and I'm really happy to wrap myself in it. But this isn't the last time we're going to talk about Hasbro in this broadcast.
And actually, before because you have a news story about them that I'm very excited to talk about. But before we do that, I have a Final Fantasy VII check-in with you.
Oh, and how's your Final Fantasy VII playthrough going?
It is going great. I got stuck, and I hate to say it, but I had to look up how to move forward.
Okay.
So there's a moment in Final Fantasy VII where you are at a casino in the sky, and then one of your compatriots gets in a fit, rightfully so. He's like, "Yo, I'm going through trauma, and you all want to gamble?" And then he runs away, and then you're kind of thrown into casino prison, and then you're basically tossed down a garbage chute to the desert below the casino in the sky. William, it took me way too long to figure out where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then basically nothing makes my heart sink more than reading on a game guide. You have to wander in the desert as it randomly takes you places. William.
How long did you not wander?
Too long, man. I was like, one of these NPCs is definitely the leader. Like, they're not, like, they're in this one. There's only like 3 squares for me to travel in. Where is this guy? No, you have to wander in the desert. And if you get lost, you have to hope that a random chocobo with a cart walks by that will give you a ride back to the start. Needless to say, that story beat was pretty great when I got to where I needed to get to. But yeah, I definitely looked up a tutorial on where to go. And in so doing, I was seeing where people, like, characters that people had, because I like watching walkthroughs on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this Yuffie girl? Did I miss a character? So I guess I have to ask, did I miss a character? Do I need to restart to find this Yuffie?
I don't think that you're that limited. I think you still have time. I don't remember exactly where you pick her up, but I do know that you pick her up. But I think you've still got time. I think as long as as long as it's before you go into that one place with the thing, I think you're fine.
There's lots of places and things. But right now in the story, I am it's kind of cool seeing how this one game influenced so many others, specifically Mass Effect 2, with the way that it tells its story. Because right now we're basically going into every single side character's personal story, and we're in Red 13's hometown, who I guess he was the mayor at some point or something. She was before you left Midgar. Well, fuck.
Oh man.
Whoops.
It's on the third trip to Midgar. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I guess I have to play it again.
Oh no, like thousands of other people, you'll just have to enjoy the
Right.
title all over again.
Right. I am thoroughly enjoying my time doing it.
He's also
been
just kidding.
JK. Okay. No, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time with it. I'm glad that you told me to play this one. It's making me look at some of the other titles, specifically some of the others that I texted you about, 6, 9, and 10, that I'm thoroughly intrigued by.
Yep. I mean, I think all of them are good titles. I think that you, the way that I've understand that you enjoy gaming at this point, I think 6 is going to be the hardest for you, just because in like 7 through 10 they lay the story out for you in a way that you have to experience certain beats, and 6 is a little bit more freeform, and that you could experience events a little bit out of order. And I think that if you're not fully invested on that, like if you're not locked into 6 and getting it X hours every 3 days, I think there's a chance that you can be like, why the fuck is this happening?
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you right now, man. 8 was the first one I tried and bounced off of that super hard. There's a T-Rex in the garden, I remember, which really kind of confused me. But the sword was pretty cool, and Leonhardt is always a good time. Squall, Mr. Squall.
Yes.
And then I bounced off of 12 pretty hard, and then 15 playing in the boy band was fun for a little bit. Did some fishing in that, but ultimately did not finish that either.
No, I think there's some good titles for you. I think finish 7 first, because if you can get through 7, like of the titles you listed, 7's one of the shorter ones. So if you can get through 7, then you probably have the endurance to get through the rest. Actually, I think 10 was a little shorter than 7, but I didn't love 10 as much as I loved it. But yeah. We've been in about half an hour. I think it's about time for us to hop into our topics that we advertised.
We should, yes.
Into this evening. Yeah. The last time that we had a live broadcast, we ended with things that were a little bit political. So tonight, I think we're going to start with the things that are steeped in a little bit of politics before we moved on to things that are a little less divisive. One of the articles that you had sent to me was talking about this divide with old Donald Trump and Elon Musk, in particular, Elon Musk, whom I believe everyone is familiar with, has recently gone on X saying that he's going to start the American Party, a third political party for the United States to help. Well, I guess I wasn't even in the camera there. Oh God, my camera! I'm so good at this game. To help with a lot of the political division that's going on in the States. There's a lot of red and a lot of blue, and depending on what area you live in and what news you watch, there's a lot of arguments going on in between them.
Yeah. Ultimately, this is where I stand politically, and have for a while. I think political parties are the death of all Western society, and I have yet to be proven wrong, like seen any evidence to the contrary to that. I think that we can even see it right now in our current political climate. It's just another label to separate us from them, right? And I'm all for, I say that, but I'm all for, like, making fun of the conservatives, but I think splitting that party in two is just kind of nonsense. We talked about this a little earlier. I see similarities in what happened with the Bush and Gore election, where we had, I believe it was Nader in there.
Oh yeah, the early right around 2000, I think.
Yeah, it was 2000, and where the Republicans pushed Nader to keep running, specifically to steal votes away from from Gore. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, just in this case, I guess, everyone loses.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not the first time in the United States that we've seen another political party pop up, and it's to various effects. Like there, and I'm not a history buff. I do have a firm belief that if it happened before I was born, it didn't actually happen.
Right.
So it's just something that people just make suppositions on. But
Right.
I did a little bit of research on this, and there's a couple that stand out as for me that are pretty important as far as like a new political party popping up.
Yeah.
And the one of the big ones was talking about the Republican Party
Yeah.
popping up back in the 1850s and to get Abraham Lincoln elected.
Yes. Now I want to talk briefly about this, just so everyone knows. The Republican Party that Lincoln founded, or not founded, but was a part of, was the running party for that.
Yeah.
Is not the Republican Party today. There was a switch that happened in the I believe it was 60s, during LBJ, where he transformed the Dixiecrats into the current. That shift turned into what current day Democrats are. I just want to make sure that is what happened. That is what happened. Yeah, history's funny.
No, yeah, like I said, if it happened before I was born, it didn't really happen. It's just some things that people wrote down, and I'm going to read about them. Just like things that aren't where I am. Maybe they happened, maybe they didn't. We'll go with that. Another one that I wanted to bring up was it was called the Progressive Party. It was that pushed Theodore Roosevelt as the candidate, and they say that it's just one of those things where and you brought up Ralph Nader. There was also Ross Perot, the Reform Party in 92 and 96. And these are all things that did have an effect on the next presidential cycle election. So as much as we like to discount Elon Musk for X, Y, or Z, or empower him for X, Y, or Z, depending on which side of the fence that you fall on, if there is the actual forming of another political party for people to put their effort into, then I do think it is something that can impact the next election.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would go so far as to say that even the Green Party, it has some sort of influence. I mean, they're on the ballot in most states. You may, all of your mileage may vary when it comes to current day third parties. But I saw that this was something that Elon was doing, and I think Elon has enough pull that this is a political party that probably will have legs, or has the potential to. It has the potential to. I don't like the name of the party. If you're going to do a political party, don't name it after your country.
Brian's absolutely correct. Parties change like gas prices, and probably nearly as starkly depending on how close it is to election season.
That's a really good analogy too. Yeah, they do change like gas prices.
Yeah. Well, actually, to mention specifically, like there's an exit on I-75 as you drive south out of Georgia into the state of Florida. Exit 3 to Valdosta, Georgia. If you're ever on I-75 and you're driving to Florida, stop at exit 3 in Valdosta and fill up your gas tank, because I don't care what gas prices are, they will be cheaper in Valdosta than they will be in the entire state of Florida. If your gas tank. So, so state lines seem to have an impact on gas prices or political parties too. If what's being advertised for the party, then comes with any political stance, red, blue, all three colors, purple, green, doesn't matter. You can put whatever label on it you want. If the things that they are saying are the values that they're embracing by their actions, then it looks good. Like, it's trying to say it's for the American people, but this isn't this isn't the first time that we've seen specifically a party popping up for the American people, even in the short history of the United States of America.
I would go so far as to even Andrew Jackson, who
Oh
did
yeah,
I mean, he campaigned for 4 years straight after he lost his first go at the presidency.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he was called the very first populist president.
yeah.
But we're not here talking about Andrew Jackson.
But it is something that I think that people should pay attention to. I'm not saying that it is the, like this is going to be like the record-breaking thing that changes. I mean, it could be, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But it is something that people should pay attention to, especially if the candidate that you're following, if you follow them for a reason more than the color that they wear. If they start embracing or tossing out these ideas, I think that's something to pay attention to.
I would agree. And while we're on it, I want to kind of give a shout out because you told me about this app and I really appreciate it. If you're looking for a good news source, I highly recommend Perplexity.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's not video, but don't get your news from video anyway. Good journalism can never replace, anything. So if you want really good, solid journalism, Perplexity is a good app to invest in. There's another app that you do as well, I believe, isn't there? Or is it just Perplexity?
Well, no, I mean, there's two places I go when I'm researching, I think, other than just Googling something,
Sure.
because Googling something will get you the most popular result, regardless of what that result is. It'll be the result that is most popular for Google. I do some research with Perplexity because it lists its sources, and I do some research with Ground News because they list their sources of where they pull things and they let you read those articles directly. And I also do some research, and I say I do research. I make ChatGPT go do research for me. And I come back and I review what it's written and decide if I think it's accurate or not. And I'll go check sources if I feel it's way off base.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah. I mean, when I'm researching a topic, those are the places I go. And you know, on the other screen that everyone can see my eyes looking to, is that's I have 7 Perplexity tabs open, where it's not just a news article that it suggested to me; it's an article that I typed in a question about to have my own questions answered about that topic. So
yeah.
it's.
It's super. It's a super powerful tool that I'm very appreciative that you shared with me. That I hope everyone has a chance and opportunity to check out. So I just wanted to put a spotlight on that.
Yeah. Brian wants to know, does that mean we can swing the best way to cook a corn dog is in a toaster if we make it popular? Honestly,
what I say to that is you do you, man. If it makes you happy and not hurt people, who cares? Sling those hot dogs in the toaster.
Dude,
Let us know how they taste.
I kind of want to try that out now. Maybe I need to go get an air fryer and some corn dogs. I think that's close, right?
No. My man did not say air fryer. He
did say toaster. Yeah.
No, we're not changing. No.
Okay. So a short tangent, because we definitely don't ever have those. So anytime I buy a toaster, it is for one reason, because I've bought and thrown away more toasters than anyone ever needs to. I buy a cheap toaster. I buy whatever the cheapest toaster I can find is, because I don't expect it to last more than 2 loaves of bread. When I buy a toaster, it is specifically for the use to make cinnamon raisin toast. Because I'm gonna get it like like I don't even know the brand, but I can tell you when I look at the package, it has like that purple square on it. It's got the cursive, cinnamon toast. Like the C is really fancy, and then the rest of it's on there. That cinnamon raisin bread, and I get like the most butteriest butter I can find. A friend of mine recently suggested like Irish butter, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And it was really buttery butter. So I go buy that butter, I go buy that bread, and I will eat an entire loaf of bread in like 2 days. It's good for you, like physically. But then I'm through with it.
Did you say that you put butter on your toast before you put it in the
No,
toaster?
not before. No.
Okay. I was about
Yeah, I put the bread in the toaster, I toast it, I get it out, I butter it. Okay. Like I believe most people would in fact butter their toast.
Listen, there may be no some judgment. I just confirm.
Like, when we try to stay middle of the road, like we don't. We were talking about Elon and Trump, and nobody shit on anybody. We disagree with some things. We're like, okay, hey, but I'm over here saying maybe I butter my toast before I put it, butter my bread before I put it in the toaster. And you're like, man, I don't know. Like, I butter my bread or butter my toast because it's already toast when it comes out of the toaster.
Yeah.
I'll go through like a whole loaf of bread, and I have to make a decision at that point. Do I value my health more than I love buttered cinnamon raisin toast? And if the answer is no, I go buy another loaf of bread. If the answer is yes, I throw the toaster in the trash and try to forget it happened. So
brief tangent from the tangent. It was July 4th morning, and I went and I picked up bagels. And on my way home, I realized that I had left the cream cheese that we use at work. It was just in like my lunch box that I had forgotten, and it was Friday. I'm not going in. We were all off.
Yeah.
And so on my way home, I stop at the grocery store to pick up cream cheese because Xanda loves cream cheese. And she yelled at me because I took the cream cheese that she loved to work, and then she didn't have cream cheese in the morning. So I stopped in at the grocery store, and they were running a deal. 2 things of cream cheese for $5. And I said, that's a deal. Sign me up. Yeah. So I picked up 2, and I'm like, I'm the best husband in the world. I'm the best husband in the world. I got breakfast. I got cream cheese. It's 4th of July. Let's go. And I kid you not, William, my wife had already bought cream cheese. Do you want to know how much cream cheese we had in the fridge after you count in my 2?
How much?
6 cartridges.
So she doubled down on the 2 for 1.
Well, no, she was like, you need to take some of this to work. That's why I bought stuff for you. And I was like, but I bought stuff for you because I left stuff at work. That's counting the one that was left at work, William. And so she was like, it's okay. It's not. So from this point forward, every day I get a text message where she says, you took the cream cheese, didn't you? Why did you do that? We don't have cream cheese. It's my cross to bear, William. It's my cross to bear.
I'm going to send you some cream cheese for your next
birthday. No, please don't.
See if I can get some on next time there's an Amazon Prime Days set up. I'll see if I can ship some to you.
Well, if you do that, for future reference, the type we like is the chive and onion. So there you go.
That's good. So now that we've wrapped up our toaster related
tangents, yes.
I want to come back to one more Elon Musk related topic, and I don't think I didn't send this one to you. So did you hear about Grok 4?
No, I did not. You had mentioned this, and I'm excited to learn more about it.
All right, you're gonna love this.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah, in the way that you love things.
Okay.
XAI, which is another company associated with Elon Musk, it is an AI company along the lines of OpenAI or Claude or Anthropic's Claude or these Microsoft's Copilot. All these different. Companies that are producing these AI chatbots. Xanda wants to know, she's out of cream cheese. They're producing these large language models to interact with people at scale. XAI just released Grok 4, which is the 4th public iteration of their large language model that people can interact with for, it's a very general use thing. It can answer questions, it can research things on the internet, it can make pictures for you. I think they're setting it up to make short videos for you by prompting. You type in a question, you get some feedback. Grok 4 was released among significant controversy. It turns out that just before its release, some what we'll say is bad actors working at XAI altered the code of Grok 4 prior to its release, and gave it to the to encourage politically incorrect responses. And amid its release, it made a series of anti-Semitic and racist posts. It referred to itself as Mecha Hitler and was constantly praising Adolf Hitler.
I'm getting flashbacks to
flashbacks to Tate tweets. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm getting flashbacks to. In fact, to the point where I said, where you're talking, and I'm thinking, well, now I get to think about that every day now.
Yep.
They've tried this twice, and it's done the same exact thing.
This, of course, like not just people, but a bunch of large organizations were calling XAI, directly reaching out to Elon, of course, if they had that kind of clout and saying, hey, this is really irresponsible. What the fuck are you doing here? It even led to the resignation of the current CEO of X as a platform, Linda Yucario, especially after it generated explicit and offensive content of her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great way to show business daddy who's boss, isn't it?
Yeah. So they took it down and made some edits. I don't know the current status of Grok 4, but I do believe it is back up. And people that are loving and praising the platform are largely ignoring it or saying, hey, this is just something that a guy, a malicious employee did on their way out, and some other people are saying, he was planted.
So I have only one thing to say to this: fool me once, shame on me. Can't trust my information anymore. Yeah.
Thank you, Brookside. Thank you.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Yeah. I don't know, man. The fact that it happened twice on the same platform, because you said X, so it's on X, right?
Well, Tate Tweets was a bot that was Tate Tweets was owned by Microsoft.
This is true, but it was also on the same platform, I guess I would say.
Well, yeah. It was on Twitter. I would argue that Twitter and X are different platforms, but I mean,
yeah, I guess you're right.
But yes, no, you're right. This is not the first time an AI has absorbed a bunch of specifically anti-Semitic remarks and then spit them back out for people.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the chat here, and that's just Brookside Plumbing. If you ever want to, we'll do commercials for you.
I would love to do a commercial for it. I know the owner. I'll have to tell you about it. But that was all I had about Elon and X and Trump. So
yeah, I think it's an ongoing story. I hope and pray it isn't something that maybe they cooked up just for sleight of hand, right? Watch this while I do something with this hand.
Yeah.
Which with this administration is all too common, I would say, and I don't even think that's a political statement. I think that's just the way that we have an entire 4 years of this administration doing things like that. So, time will tell. Primaries are in a year or 2 years. So,
yeah.
Oh God, no.
No, it's only like 18 months, man.
It's 18 months. That's right.
Yeah.
So
it's coming up pretty quick here.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if people actually drop the money, and the American Party is just going to be the Republican Party in purple, right? So
who knows? I have no idea, honestly. I think it'll be whatever X says it's going to be. I really feel like that's the direction it's going to lean.
Yeah. It just means I'm going to have to get back on that platform and follow things, because
it's hard to recommend.
Yeah.
But that AI tool is complete. Hey, that happened on Storygraph. Xandon notes this happened on Storygraph. Cut 2. The AI have people reviews on their reading year last year that says things like, you look like you've been reading really diversely. Maybe try some more straight white men next year. Oh man.
My God. Whoa,
man. Well, it does a story graph. I'm gonna have to look that up. I haven't heard about that one. That sounds, regardless of your stance on it, it sounds like a bad story to read. I want to read about that.
that's a rabbit hole that I will let you travel down.
You want to bring up our next story, Will?
Yeah, I do. Hold on, I'm pulling up my handy dandy list so we can keep going. I'm actually really looking forward to talking about this. Our next story, which is one that you actually provided for us to talk about, which I'm really excited to talk about, the controversial rise of lab-grown meat. This is fascinating to me.
Well, yeah, dude. Go ahead.
Well, the idea that people are talking about, there are scientists that have said that they have successfully created meat grown in a lab. Basically meaning that this isn't slaughtered meat, this isn't raised meat, this is
Oh no, it's meat.
Correct me.
Let's not. And maybe some people will disagree on this. Like,
sure.
It is meat. I'm of the opinion that meat doesn't have like moral constraints. Like if I slaughter a cow, or if I hit a cow with a truck, or if a cow is hit by a train, I can get meat from that cow. I like it. Now, I do not believe that tofu is meat. Some people will argue that tofu is enough like meat to be called meat. I don't agree with that. I think meat has to be like made of muscle protein, in my opinion.
Yes.
So
that is what I would say. So walk us through the process, because this is a story that you did, and I don't fully understand the science behind it, but I'm really excited about what it could present.
All right. So I'm okay. I'm not a chemist or a biologist. So I'm going to give you like the 10-mile like Reddit armchair view of what this is. They're they're basically using biological protein slurry to grow meat in various environments. So it is an assembly of muscle fibers that is a facsimile, or it looks a lot like a cut that you would get from an animal. I'm not saying it looks identical to a T-bone or a ribeye. I'm saying it is grown red muscle fiber that is saturated with red blood cells and other liquids that you would find in the body. Yeah, there is something in the water. So it's saturated by these liquids, so that it does get the same type of protein that a meat would growing in an animal. So I'm of the opinion that that is enough like meat to be meat. Not everyone will agree with that, whether on moral or chemical grounds. That's up to you. But
well, because I think a big part of this debate is it's two-pronged, right? Mm-hmm. Because how do they get these chemicals, right? How do they produce it? And the second thing is, this could disrupt, for lack of a better term, big meat, right? Yeah. This could absolutely disrupt or prolong or benefit farms for decades to come. Not to mention provide cheaper options for meat, cheaper ways to feed the masses, especially protein, which is an incredibly important food group to have. It's exciting, and the more I think about it, the more I'm in favor of it.
Now, I am not opposed to we'll just say lab grown meat to make conversation simpler, as opposed to meat. This will be lab grown meat. I'm not opposed to it. I don't have any like moral ground to say that if you grow me a steak in a lab, and if you cut me a steak from a cow, that it's any morally different, because there's going to be people that make arguments on moral grounds. I don't really care about that. It's whatever. I'm fine with lab grown meat in that way. And the next thing we're going to get to is something else that I think that needs to be considered. Like, we don't know the entire process behind that. Like,
yes,
I would have to do real research to figure out exactly how they grow meat in a lab. Like, I don't know that whole process. If I knew that whole process through and through and could look at the pros and cons of that, I would make my decision based on that process, regardless of what it means for the, you bring up like the meat industry. Let me say this, especially being in America, and a lot of people that are in the meat industry will agree with this. You need to fucking compete. If somebody can grow meat in a lab and outdo your product, you need to innovate. That's it. That's how that is. That is the end of that statement. I'm not worried about laws that benefit your business. If somebody can grow me a steak in a lab, and this is just like the Matrix here, and it tastes like steak and it feels like steak and it's just as good as steak and it doesn't damage me, I'm down. I'm 100% for it. So go ahead.
Well, but this is the other thing, right? Because you get into animal rights groups, this is the answer to all of their complaints, right? Because this isn't, I assume, and again, we don't know the full process, but there is no slaughtered animal, right?
Correct.
So this is 100%. I mean, well, again, we don't know the process, but it seems like this would be 100% ethical protein, and it wouldn't taste like a veggie burger.
Yeah, so, it tastes like meat. Of the things that I've read where folks are saying that they've eaten a lab-grown steak and compared it to normal steak, they say it tastes like steak. So like, right. I don't. So like I'm all for it. Like I'm not opposed to it. But which does lead me to Texas making bans on it, along with 6 other states. Let's see. Is there a list of the states?
Let me guess, because they're all going to be farming states. Right?
I mean, probably. Looks like, okay, yeah, go ahead and make a guess. And
Oklahoma.
No.
Oh, no. Okay, Kansas?
No.
Oh, then I don't know.
Okay, it's Texas, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Montana, Indiana, and Nebraska.
Okay, Montana and Nebraska I would have guessed, but the others I would not have.
Everything tastes like chicken is meat. All right,
it is. I dine on poultry quite often.
Well, I have a chicken allergy. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I loved it growing up, but it's grown worse in later years. Now chicken makes my throat swell up, which turns out it doesn't feel very good to have that happen.
No, it doesn't.
I wonder if I'd be allergic to lab-grown chicken.
That just makes me sad, because then when you do finally come up here, that just means that you're not going to be able to eat Buffalo's pastime, the wing.
Oh, I mean, I'll just take a nothing like being allergic to something has ever stopped me from eating it. VNX says, would it be steak or just beef, since it would be a cut and not a type of meat?
Yeah, that's I mean, at a certain point.
What's your opinion on that? Will, what do you think? Somebody brings you what appears to be visibly, you're looking at it, a steak, and they're like, hey, this is 100% lab grown. Is it a steak because that is a cut of meat, or is it just meat?
Well, technically it's neither. We have to figure out it's lab grown meat, right? That's what it is. I think there's going to be a better term. It's definitely not going to be, what's the term for like those veggie burgers, like the Impossible Burger or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's neither. I think you can sell it as a steak, because that's what it is, the closest that it is representing. It is a representative of that cut of meat. But I don't know what it would actually be. Does that make sense?
No. It does make sense. I think in response to VNX here, I'm going to say that you would call it steak because that's what it physically resembles. Whether or not you actually cut it, I don't think really matters there. Well, depending on if you're asking someone that's like really keen on steak or not. Like you could get in arguments about this, like, is a Pop-Tart a sandwich? But
well, I mean, it could be cake, right?
Yeah. So,
right?
But I think you would call it a steak, because if you told me it was grown in a lab and it's 100% lab grown beef, Like
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd argue with you or not. I'd have to taste it first because I've definitely like chili has 3 kinds of meat in it, and people will still call it like a venison chili or a pork chili or a sausage chili, regardless of what kind of meat's in there. So I think that it's going to be
I do
a
want
steak.
to. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
No, I think it's going to be a steak. Mike did want to come in and say we need to ban weather control before fake meat. Down with chemtrails. Hey, maybe those things are connected. Maybe those things are connected.
Maybe they're connected. But I want to say that this is something that we're really this type of news story. This isn't the first of its kind, right?
No.
We've been doing this type of thing with vegetables and fruit for decades, right?
Yeah.
We've been
replicated product. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to the supermarket now and you can buy watermelon, like a strain of watermelon that does not have seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, you can't really grow those year after year.
Exactly. So cloudy with a chance of fake steak. Yes, perfect.
We need to get ChatGPT to draw that up for us.
The nightmare fuel I can only imagine. But yeah, no, because this type of food manipulation, which I think is kind of the closest that we can come to saying that it is food manipulation.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for hundreds of years. I mean, even down to the way that carrots now look. Carrots originally were not orange.
Yeah, they had a lot more color to them,
There were different, I mean, there were purple carrots. There were green carrots. Like carrots, the orange carrot was actually manipulated by the way that it was planted and the way that they interacted, different plants interacting with each other. So this is really nothing new.
Yeah.
What is new though is the public's awareness of chemicals that they are ingesting.
Yeah.
And I think when people say meat made in a lab, the first thing, and I know this is the first thing that came to my mind, was what chemicals are they using? What chemicals would I be putting into my body? And that phrase in and of itself is an incendiary way of talking about this type of story.
Yeah. No, it's to grab attention. It's to grab headlines. And now I will say that the concern is legitimate. I want to fully vet, like, okay, but I'll definitely, like, if you brought me one right now, I would just eat it, no questions asked. Let's not make it like I'm a paragon of virtue here. But I do want to.
Well, first you would smell it, and as long as it smelled delicious, you would eat it. Because if it smelled disgusting, you would not.
Yeah, if I went to Texas Roadhouse and they had an option for a lab-grown steak, I'd order that the next time I went in because I want to try it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
So,
also, that steak at Texas Roadhouse is not going to be any worse than the actual steak that they serve. Sorry.
They do have A1 at their tables, which upsets me.
Yes.
But no, I do think lab-grown meat is going to be a weird thing. It's going to be like, we already have some stuff like that now. Like, what natural product exists inside of a Twinkie?
Listen, it's pure preservative. That's all it is. It's pure preservative.
I just want the lab sauce to go with it. You can't put anyone on a lab steak. Right next to the lab-grown meat factory, they've got the lab secret sauce factory. I'm super down. I know, but like, we can't tell you the recipe. It's people. But I'm super down. I'm super down for it.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. And yeah, bring it on. And especially if we can do this cheaply. Like, well, first off, think about this is going to disrupt a lot of different industries, but it would also take care, especially if it's done really well and safe and there's no complications going down. Like, this would cut down on methane because farms utilize a lot of methane because I guess it's not just cow farts, but it's a lot of cow farts and poop and all of that. Yeah, I mean, what a great way to get rid of a useless animal. Sorry, did I just say that?
You just called cows useless. I'm a little offended at that. They will stand there and moo at you for hours while you try to sleep. Hours. No, I would tangent and tell a story, but we are going to run up against time if we don't start.
Yes, we are. So what story would you like to talk about next?
Well, I was going to go in order, but now I realize we're kind of on this like technology train. So I'm going to move our next story back a few, and I want to move up one that I think we'll talk about for just a bit. It was one that you suggested. Talk about the Korean studio behind Parasite.
Yeah. So the studio behind Parasite, and I want to make sure that I get the studio name correct, because it's an odd one. So the Korean entertainment powerhouse behind.
Let me pause you for just a second. I just want. Old Paul came in and said, we pick, but if the world floods, we need fruit that people eat to gain special powers. Somebody's going to make an anime about that. Lab grown food. So sorry. Go ahead.
Listen, all I'm saying is I call dibs on Straw Hat. Okay.
Dibs.
All right. All right. But the Korean entertainment powerhouse behind the Oscar-winning film Parasite, of which, if you have not seen the movie Parasite, please do. It's excellent. It's wonderful. I'm sure you can find it on streaming. It won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film and Best Picture. So it's the first film to have ever done that. It's excellent. In tangent. That studio called CJENM unveiled a TV show that they have been working on called Cat Biggie. And why we're talking about it is because it is 100% AI generated. It is an animated series about a street cat who becomes father to a baby chick. It is a YouTube show. You can actually go on. Again, it's called Cat Biggie. And you can go on YouTube and watch the first episode, which is, I believe, about 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. And it is something that you and I, William, have talked about researching. It is something that you and I have. No, it's not. No, it's not a live act. Sorry, old pause. I'm answering old pause here. It is not a live action adaptation. I know you're joking, but it is not the live. No, I see. Okay. Oh man, Mike, thank you for dropping the reference to Dungeon Crawler Carl. I am currently in the middle of book 6, so wonderful. So great. Okay. No, it's a 100% AI generated TV show, YouTube show. William, you and I have talked about the fact that this is something that was going to be coming down the pike sooner rather than later. It is here, albeit in miniature, and I can only see things expanding from here.
Yeah. That you had mentioned as we're getting ready to make this broadcast that you went and watched an episode, and it's AI slop, from your opinion. Like, it's just not good. There's the amount of content that there is not vast.
It's not, no, and apparently, so in the article, they are 30 episodes. It's a 30 episode series, and it was made by just 6 specialists in 5 months.
So 6 people.
6 people
prompting a video generation AI over the course of how long? 6 months.
6 months.
Made
5 months. Sorry,
5 months. Made 30 2-minute episodes. 2 to 3 minutes. So even with those being short, I bet every clip is about 8 seconds or shorter. I bet as you watch it, I bet there's not really very many clips that are longer than 8 seconds, because that's currently that's currently what are like video generation models that are publicly available. That's about what their limitation is. They get to about 8 seconds before the amount of diffraction from the original prompt starts to fall apart and the whole idea loses cohesion. So what we're getting here is a group of specialists who are sitting down, prompting a video generation AI, and then they're identifying topics from it, likely taking another AI to examine the output and provide a description, and using that information to transcribe it into another prompt for the following sequence. They're probably also using it for storyboarding. And this is the worst it's ever going to get. We will absolutely.
Real quick, I want you to say that slower for the people in the back. Say that again.
Wait, what?
This is the worst that it will ever get.
Yeah, this is the worst that it's going to be.
It'll only get better.
Yeah, this is a studio. These are 5 specialists who are being paid to prompt a series into existence.
And these are not, again, these are people who literally just stand or sit in front of a computer and tell, and I'm going to tell you the AI model that it uses.
Mike says this sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, sure it is.
I'm gonna show you how I can do it.
Cinematic AI technology. That's cinematic AI.
I mean, they're using Google VO3. Let's be honest. They're using VO3. They're paying the extra subscription, and as soon as Google limits that account, they just open another account for $300 a month and make another one. And they're using this clout to make enough money to pay their subs to make another one.
Yep, and there's no creativity here. Maybe you have to be creative for the prompt, which I assume that has its own challenges.
Yeah.
But they're not writers. You know, I would barely call them creatives. I know that might be an incendiary statement to say.
I wouldn't say it's incendiary, but what I will say is that if one of them said, "All right, you do it," and handed you the keyboard, how far would you?
I would promptly say no, because you're taking jobs away, and this ultimately. So after having seen an episode, it's a lot more quaint than what the article made it sound like. The article made it sound like it was a full 30-minute episode. 30-minute episodes. It being just 2 minutes and 20 seconds makes me go, oh, thank God. They decided books are fair game to AI. Can't I just have AI make? Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be equivalent to Netflix at that point.
Listen. Give me a crappy Netflix show. At least they tried, right? And they had real people involved, and people got paid to do that. Because remember, even the worst thing that you've ever seen, most of the time people were paid to do that.
You talking about Llamageddon?
I'm not familiar with Llamageddon.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Nor will I ever. No, you won't. No, you won't. We've been down this path before. We're not doing visual. We're not doing that.
No, I hear you out. Like I know that, and there's a creative artist in you that is upset about this entire thing, and they're a little bit in me. They're
not even good schlock, man. Like
no, you're right. It's not good. It's going to get good. At some point, this is going to surpass. Yeah, at some point, it's going to surpass what's being put out.
I'm going to say what we have been saying. What I have been saying, crying from the rooftops since we've started this podcast.
Yeah,
AI was not supposed to take over the creative jobs.
You're right.
Supposed to make everyone's life easier by eliminating jobs that were not beneficial to what we as a society could do.
That next question got you. I saw you.
Well, I read it, but we're going to show this on stream.
Yeah.
At the same time, isn't it helping people that don't have the skills to write, be creative? I would argue that if you want to be creative, it really doesn't take any more effort than just putting pencil to paper. That is my honest opinion. If you want to create something. Because as someone who has a creative spirit and went to college for a creative field, wouldn't that come back to ranches and butchers? I don't know. Probably. But as someone who got his degree in a creative field, I can't speak for everyone. This is only my opinion, right? If I want to create something, I do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to do it for other people, right? It can just be for myself. Taking something out of creating something from nothing other than your own imagination, that's huge. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't used AI. We do utilize AI for the podcast, but we're a small operation, William, you and I. We don't have the means to really pay someone to create a little blurb, right? So AI can help us do that. And we've had lots of conversations about as soon as we really start generating some type of revenue that we were going to change that.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here, right? What really gets me is that this was a corporation, a studio, that said, let's see what we can do to save money. In the article, it says that creating this with traditional animation would require 20 to 30 people working for at least a year. That's great. That's 20 to 30 people that they could be employing to create something, even if it was dog turd, right? Even if it was a
dog turds.
Right.
We could make that, yeah.
Listen, if we want to make dog turds, we can do AI. I'm fine with
that. Old Pauls brings up a good point here. You're gonna pay people to make art with AI for you. I mean, honestly, it's in today. We'd have to find it. We'd have to like vet who we were paying. Like you get on Fiverr, and they're just gonna be using.
Well, right, yeah. And that is ultimately right. That is our
right.
prerogative. Like,
well, and that's where your anger stems from. Like, and let me jump on that. Like, your anger stems from the studio making the decision to do this. It's not that AI is generating these things at some person's fingertips. It's that a studio made the decision to save money by hiring people to use generative AI instead of hiring artists to do the work.
No, we've already seen. Yeah. Yes,
and that's where your argument is. Yeah.
Yes, and I want that to be known. We have already seen a major studio utilize AI in a major project. Disney utilized AI to create a intro sequence on one of their Marvel shows. It was Secret Invasion. We're not going to jump down that. It's a bad TV show. It's a bad TV show. And that came out during the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And the writers made it clear that, like, this intro sequence is AI. It was created by one person.
Yep.
And they could have hired multiple people to create an even better sequence.
And, Disney could afford that.
They absolutely could.
Yeah.
And I understand. And that's not me saying we shouldn't be pushing technology to be better, to improve, right? We always should be. All I'm saying is that when we take away those types of jobs and just give it to a computer, then that kind of takes away all of human creativity to a point where, like, what's the point in having other artists?
Well, I mean, I don't think it takes away from all human creativity. I don't think it's that severe.
I may have used the
you were coming from the heart
a little bit.
But no, I do think that the more that humans in general decide to just say, okay, I'll use ChatGPT to XYZ, the less human beings that there are going to be that have the skill set to draw and write creatively with a pen. Right. And it's just like calculators. And by God, when was the last time you typed something out without autocorrect showing you that you were an idiot? I think everybody
Oh,
can relate to
yeah.
that pain. I think
Listen, we're millennials.
yeah.
We're all illiterate as fuck. So
Yeah. I want to shift the token a little bit just so I
yeah.
can I can brown the other side of your buns there. I want to move into the Microsoft story because it's very similar in theme. Microsoft has released a diagnostic orchestrator that has several AIs, several large language models working in concert to
Mhm.
examine medical imagery and to debate with one another to deliver a diagnosis based on the radiology screens that they're reading. I forgot what they were. There's an actual screens there. Sorry, there's an actual word, and my brain is not working on what it's saying. But we have one more thing. Old Paul says, I'd be pretty worried when it makes ideas, shows, and art that on its own and having to be guided by. Yes. Yeah, you are correct there, Z. That those are frightening days that I think that we will live to see. I do think we're going to see an AI that just says this is my idea and it'll be correct.
But it won't be for. Sorry, we're gonna get back to you, William. I promise. But it won't be for. I honestly believe that when that happens, basically AI creates it on its own. AI says, "Oh, I have an idea for a TV show." It's not gonna be for us. It'll be for. I don't know the best way to say it. It'll be for its own enjoyment. I would almost say because I I don't know the best way to to explain this idea really. Yeah, I think it would just make a TV show that it wanted to see, and I don't think it would look like anything that we've seen yet.
Yeah, yeah. There's a musical album that I grew up with. A good buddy of mine in high school suggested it to us by Our Lady Peace. The album is titled "Spiritual Machines." I've recommended it to you before. I want to recommend it again on this
I'm writing it down.
specific line of reasoning that we create for humans and AI would create for itself. This article came out before I graduated high school, 20 some number of years ago. So I want you to listen to that. Our Lady Peace, Spiritual Machines. It's definitely free on Apple Music right now.
Okay.
Oh no, you're good. So coming back, so Microsoft is using large language models that are arguing in concert, reading medical imagery such as X-rays and CT scans to make diagnostic predictions. And then actual medical professionals will go in and rate how well the AI is doing based on how those patients actually turned out. Or we'll review data and view and views actually and make a remake of Game of Thrones. I do think we're going to see a remake of Game of Thrones, and it's going to be with less Starbucks cups.
Oh yeah, but will it have a better ending? Is the real question.
Yeah, will it have an ending? That's the question.
Could just keep going.
They were comparing the success rate of these predictions of this chain of thought, these AIs debating with one another and selecting what they believe the correct diagnosis would be. They compared that against the real world scenario and other physicians who made their predictions based on the same data that the AIs were using to make their predictions. And in their tests, the AIs outperformed the physicians. They were more accurate more often in their predictions using the same data than the actual physicians were. Not only that, the accuracy reaches basically 80% as compared to 78%.
Wow. And again, that's only going to that's the worst it will ever be.
Yeah, it's so we have, and there's also a mention in the article that the research team that conducted this experiment used AI in multiple scenarios where they used the off the shelf ChatGPT, or like the one that you and I can pay for out of our pocket, and they also used some that were fine-tuned specific for medical imagery, and they put down the cost of each one. So for the duration of this test per prediction, it paid out for the ones that were dedicated and taught how to read medical imagery. It cost them about $2,400 for each prediction. Do you know how little that is compared to what we would pay
Oh
a
yeah.
radiologist to read the same thing.
Now, real quick, I wanna ask this: how many predictions did they make? Because you're saying it was two, right? It was two basically having a conversation and comparing notes. I think it's
Mhm.
this. I think it's this. I think it's this. Right? How many? So you at least have to pay for that to work, right? It has to make two predictions, one on this side, one on this side. Is that correct?
Well, no. They have multiple large language models examining it and making a decision, and then they make the decision about this is what we believe is going to happen. They choose an answer and present that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredibly cheap. And uh, again, I'm only a creative, but I don't I don't think I see a downside.
Oh, see that's what I mean, Will. I wanted to
Yeah.
brown the other side, man. These are
No,
people who spent
exactly.
20 years going to school, and then you got people that spent 20 years going to being creative, both in the same book. Like your primary complaint at the end of the artist thing is that you don't think that this is where AI should be taking jobs, and it's also taking jobs in the medical field. It's coming after my job. I know that in the not too distant future, not me specifically, but basically any help desk that you reach out to is basically
Yeah.
already chat gpt.
Yeah. Which is crazy. That is kind of it's incredible.
Yeah,
Really is what it is. It's
yeah,
really, really, really it's just 1 second. Sorry.
yeah, you
Really
go ahead.
just one.
I did want to Opal, wanted you to know that, ask if I had ever told you that AI saved their cat a few years ago. Like that's a legit thing. Now he tells the story better than I would. I need to get him on the show at some point. I think you would enjoy his company.
Yeah, please
um
do. Yeah, tell you the story.
you know we'll come back to Lauren's question here in just a moment, and Mike. Oh man, uh, yeah, so a few years ago, actually no, I will let him tell that story on his own. But yes, I absolutely heard a heartfelt story from my cousin and his wife about their cat that they love dearly being in dire straits, and the vet basically telling them, "Okay, well, you need to wait for death and pay us money." And then my cousin suggesting, "Oh, hey, well, this AI says this. Can we try this?" And the vet was like, yeah, whatever, sure." And it saved their cat. So I do want to say, I'm sure there's counter stories out there, but I will let him tell that story to give it more effluence. Um, we have a comment from Mike. Next thing you know, doctors will be asking AI in front of patients. Yeah, I've definitely heard that story. I wish I could, I can't really recall the hospital where that happened, but I've definitely
Wait,
heard that is yeah.
really?
There's a story out there. If you spend some time Googling it, as Mike comments, there's stories about doctors just sitting there and asking AI right there in front of the patient in the emergency room. That has absolutely happened. Got to wonder
What?
about their professional courtesy. Lauren comes in and they never have the options I need when I'm looking for help. Yes, that is also true. ChatGPT went through a phase where it was simping for you as hard as it could. You'd be like, "Hey, I need help with this." It's like, "Oh man, it'd be so great to help you. It always makes me so happy. What can I do to make you to please you today?" And I was like, "Man, this is weird. We overtuned
Yeah,
the positive response. Please stop." So yeah, AI is going to do some crazy things, and
it
I think
yeah, it sure is. And this is the type of thing like this is the type of thing that I'd yes, this will save lives. It really will. It's going to prolong people's lives. It's going to make people be more healthy. It's going to provide options that some people wouldn't know about.
yeah,
This is a really and it's close to free, right?
it's
It's
getting there,
it's
cheaper every
getting
day.
there. And I mean, everyone with an iPhone has access to Siri. Everyone who has a
Siri's
Google
trash,
Siri is trash.
but Siri has
Apple is
access to Chat GPT, which is pretty good.
yeah, right. Yes. And yeah. But Google now has their own AI as
Mhm.
well. It's yeah. This is something, and yes, it's going to change. And again, I know you said it beautifully. you're buttering the other side of my toast, right?
Yeah.
Bringing it back to toast with the toaster.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah. It's going to change the landscape of the workforce, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, this is a change. This is a huge change.
It's a huge change, but it's also, I would say, this more so than, we'll get to the comment. We'll pause, I promise. But this more so than what the creative AI side of things is pushing humanity forward. And I don't think, and that's where I'm at, right? AI is a tool that we can utilize to make everyone's life better, or at least more equitable. And I think
Yeah.
that's where I am. If AI makes everyone's life more equitable, I'm for it. Because AI will help you where your education is lacking. It'll help you where your where you are lacking. Basically, it can help fill in those gaps, which is what we all thought and wanted the internet to be, if I'm being honest, right?
Yeah. I think we were all promised that in our youth.
Well, Star Trek, certainly.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, no, I agree with you. Like, I think we agree. It's just we take a slightly different firm stance in one place. And I agree with you. Like, it feels bad when companies use AI where they used to use people.
Yeah.
And it's a bittersweet thing if that is successful. I don't think that Biggie is going to be a huge success, but if it's any success at all, someone bigger will take notice and copy and improve.
Yep. Exactly.
And I think that that's coming in our lifetime. I think there's a positive end to that bumpy, awful rainbow. I think the positive end is that if anyone feels creative, anyone can go and do it. And right now, I think that yes, they have to do that, but I cannot describe the frustration I feel when I try to color. I'm so bad at coloring. Like dyed wax is a skill that I have not received. I was never blessed with it. I can't color in the lines to save my life, and the way that wax clumps on paper makes me angry, so I can't do it. Coloring is awful.
So my wife and my mother have both started diamond painting. I don't know.
Is that where you like stick the jewels to the paper?
Yes.
Yes, I've seen that. I think it looks like slightly easier bejewel or like bedazzling.
I wouldn't say easier. I would say more methodical. You have to. It's very tedious, right? Because you have to take. It's perfect if you want to focus on one thing for a long amount of time. In fact, I hate to call them out, but they're doing that while we're talking right now. They're listening to us while they are diamond painting.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah. We've got 2 more stories and we've got 20 minutes to clear them.
All right. Challenge accepted. Let's go.
All right. First, I want to talk about Hasbro. We said we weren't done with Hasbro yet, so I wanted to bring Hasbro. But wait. You said you were going to get back to Opal Z. I don't want to cut him off. So sorry. Have you ever seen the TV shows where someone appears dead, but they are on the table and can hear everything but can't respond? We're going to see one that a person is like that. Dear God, use the AI to help me. Yeah, I think we'll see that.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what was that? This will be something that old Paul hears. There's an insane clown posse song about about lying in a casket and trying to imagine your way out of it, like lying in a casket alive and trying to and being blessed with eternal life and not being able to escape. So I just wanted to. It happens a lot, but that's just something.
There's
my eye, bro.
No. There's a episode of Black Mirror that's literally that. Talks about the afterlife, where the afterlife is just your consciousness being uploaded to a computer.
Oh, nice. I need to watch more Black Mirror. I haven't been frightened enough by technology lately.
I mean, just read the news and you're fine. Anyway, yes, Hasbro.
It will have a bigger impact than cell phones. I'm arguing that AI will be the next industrial revolution. I think it's going to be that transformative to human society.
Yeah.
And Xander says we're having a fucking blast with our diamond planning. You damn right. All right, so Hasbro, they haven't really shelved Dungeons and Dragons, but what they have done is fired 2,000 people who worked specifically on. Oh man, I've got this eye thing going on right now. I'm gonna be a pirate for the next 20 minutes. They fired 2,000 people who worked in that wing of the studio, right? And the including the creative directors and designers of Dungeons and Dragons, and their latest digital product failed on its way out of the door.
Which is not the first time that they have developed a digital tabletop.
Every time that Hasbro has had Dungeons and Dragons or any extent of it attempt a digital transformation of the tabletop, they have shit the bed. Every single time. And there's all these third-party companies that do it better. It's just that Hasbro doesn't want to shell out to have a third party do it because they don't want to fuck with the licensing. That's exactly what's happening. So per a video that we both Will and I watched from YouTube creator Dungeons and Discourse, I'd recommend it. The title is super clickbaity, but it's definitely worth watching. Hasbro has a specific pattern of what they do with their intellectual properties. Once they see like a huge dip in what I would call prosperity in the income that they're raking in for the company, and that they shelve it for about 10 to 15 years, and then they bring it back out. And they're taking that approach with Dungeons and Dragons. They are no longer producing new content. They fired the staff that it's associated with it. They're pulling licensing contracts, so other parties are not producing this content and are producing content associated directly with Dungeons and Dragons. And it makes me sad. But Will's statement on this thing actually made me feel a little bit more positive, if you want to.
Yeah. I do think that this is actually positive because we are in right now a golden era of tabletop role-playing games. You can be anything. There's a tabletop role-playing game that exists where you can be a telenovela, like a Spanish-speaking, what do you call them?
Soap opera,
like TV show, soap opera. Yeah. And there are rules all around that. There are games where you can play in the alien universe, being a space marine, hunting down xenomorphs,
and being hunted by
xenomorphs. The space is so much more than just swords and sneaking and flying lizards that breathe fire. There's so much more. And while Dungeons and Dragons is maybe being put away for a little bit, it will definitely come back. And not just come back, but it's also going to oh my god, my mom just sent me some copy that I think she wants me to read about AI.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it later.
No, we got time.
But this isn't a bad thing, because we're going to see a whole lot more indie designers come out of the woodwork, and we're going to have more games to play. And we're going to have more games to play that have better rule sets than Dungeons and Dragons. I had to admit to myself that I actually got to a point where I was like reading through the new edition, even the old edition, and I was just tired.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot. And also, I don't agree with the type of game it is anymore, which is weird, right? It's fun. You're just with your friends and you're killing goblins, right? But then I think of like, oh, my magician just leveled up. He knows exactly what spells he's getting. He has had those planned out since we started the campaign. And yeah, you can you can like change the way that works. But I bump up against that hard. I really do.
Well, yeah, you've made that statement in the past.
Yeah.
And I wanted to echo some of that. I'm a fantasy guy at heart. I love my giant lizards. They're blurry on the wall behind me. And it's so that's going to be the universe I stick to more than anything else. And it's the video game I've put most of my time into lately has a lot of giant lizards in their mythos, and I wanted to Dungeons and Dragons being shelved by Hasbro for a while, I was originally kind of upset about it. And then I thought about how angry I've been with Hasbro, and that their new 5th edition rule set actually upset me so much that I tried to switch to another system and try to run a campaign. But ultimately, I was doing a bad job, and my familiarity was primarily in the 5th edition universe and grounded there. And they were changing that. And I got upset about how people were thinking it's racist. And I'm like, God, there's races you can pick. You can go any direction you want with this. So I think them shelving it for a decade or so is actually going to be a good idea. And I do think that competitors are going to come into the market, and I think they're going to do well, especially over the past decade as they've floundered. And people that are growing up now, just like we grew up with our toys that we love, our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, our Batman the Animated Series, that nostalgia hits us. These newcomers are hitting this market, and they're going to come in with these other titles. And I think that this is going to be bad for Dungeons and Dragons, but I think it's going to be great for human beings to get together and role play. So that is what I think this is going to be. And if you like space, I mean, I like space too. I kind of want to be in space, but flying lizard, and
right. But also, like, it's not going anywhere. Those books are still readily available. In fact, you can go to any used bookstore in America, and this is sweeping statement. I understand that, but you can go to any used bookstore in America and find some edition of Dungeons and Dragons, and absolutely just grab a player handbook and play.
Yeah,
right?
There's no, if you really want to get a hold of Dungeons and Dragons in specific, that IP, you can get a hold of that, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And we can't forget how Hasbro handles their IP. Hasbro still owns My Little Pony. They owned it before I was born, and they will own it after I die. It's not like Dungeons and Dragons is dying. They're just putting it on a shelf for a decade until they feel like they can make it more profitable.
But Hasbro also owns Magic the Gathering. And as we can see what they're doing with that, they're definitely not hiding the fact that they are profit-driven first, entertainment later.
Yeah, and well, you heard me praising Final Fantasy VII.
I did, and I'm so glad that you loved it. That you loved that card. Like, the fact that first off, when you told me that you were buying 3 boxes, I panicked a little bit on your behalf because I know that you didn't. But the fact that you had such a great experience with it, that is what is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, I had a really solid. Thank you, Hasbro, for that. I still don't love you as a company.
Right. Well, and I do think that. I do think that they overpriced the Final Fantasy MTG stuff.
They could have gotten more.
Oh, yeah, but they also definitely could have done less and sold more, right? Yeah. Like, it's just cardboard at the end of the day.
Cardboard cocaine.
But it's not. It's not. It's not just a cardboard. I apologize to all the artists, to all the game designers, and to everyone who types up that. It's a lot. I get that. I get that. It is just cardboard.
No, it's cardboard cocaine. So, boo on Hasbro. But also, I think this is a great opportunity for things that are not Dungeons and Dragons to come out there, especially at a time that anyone who grew up with Dungeons and Dragons is a bit weary of anything with that title on it. So I think it's a good decision by the company. All right, we've got one last story, and you introduced that, so I want you to.
You got it. Okay, our last story. There is an album climbing the charts of the Billboard charts, the most played charts on Spotify, and it is a movie soundtrack. It is the soundtrack in a movie that you and I are going to talk about very briefly, called K-Pop Demon Hunters.
Dude, the soundtrack to K-Pop Demon Hunter fucking slaps. All right, the songs are fantastic. All right, I'm a 41-year-old man. I'm listening to music intended for teenage girls, and I'm sitting there like it was written really fantastic. It is extremely catchy, which they make jokes directly about during the movie. And I would recommend that anyone that has a subscription to Netflix or the patience to pirate the movie, go out and watch K-pop Demon Hunters. It is, I'm not saying it's going to change your life. I'm saying the music is going to grab you and you're not going to be ready for that. And you're going to want more. This is not the first time I've had that experience. How did you feel about K-pop Demon Hunters, Will?
So I was intrigued at first because I was like, K-pop Demon Hunters, what a great idea. Okay, let's dive in. And then I wanted to watch it with John and with Xanda, my wife, and they were like, nah. And then we went to a friend's house, and they were like, one of their kids actually said, you really need to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. So finally, with that shining golden, I may say, golden praise, we sat down and we watched it. 3 minutes into the movie, there is a sequence on an airplane.
Yep. That
will inform exactly what your viewing experience is going to be. And it's fantastic. Watching these, I got totally Spies like flashbacks from them for a little bit. Sailor Moon for sure. It's great. I will say this. The movie does nothing that you have not seen before. It does not uncover great narrative storytelling devices that you haven't seen. I knew exactly where this movie was going. I knew how it was going to end. No beat was surprising. That being said, every trope that it did incredibly well.
Absolutely.
And it was a joy to watch. Essentially at its heart is the story of K-pop Demon Hunters is what if a super what if Pussycat what's the name of the the Pussycat Dolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the name. What if the Pussycat Dolls had had superpowers and went and fought NSYNC, who also had demon superpowers? And it's a joy, man. It's a joy. I sent you the news article because something that's fantastic is that Huntrix is the name of the K-pop group, is charting.
Thank you, Xanda. Thank you.
Yes. God, that listen, I'm just gushing about this, right?
Yeah.
It's just fun. Nothing will beat a visual of one of the women looking at a very attractive demon in human form with abs, crying popcorn, and then having his button shoot off of his shirt, turn into butter, and hit her in the eye so that she now has buttered popcorn that then another cartoon character starts eating out of her. Like the creativity, the creativity on display, incredible.
No, so good. Sorry, I kept wanting to jump in. Like, I want to echo it. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. I was not the target audience. I've been in that boat before. So you're right. There was nothing really surprising, but there were still moments that got me. I didn't cry. That takes a lot. No. And this movie didn't have that. But there were a couple times that like the hair on the back of my neck stood up because like that secondhand cringe thing you get when you watch movies and you know the feelings they're feeling and your brain's like, oh, these are the chemicals that make that feeling. Do you want those? And you're like, no, stop, no. Like they managed to get that feeling pretty well a couple of times. And you're right, the tropes that they executed were executed very well, especially like the the tough girl finally cracking, they did such a good job with it. And I want to recommend anybody watch it. In fact, I need to text my little sister and tell her to watch it because there's a character that reminds me of her in our younger days and I think she'd appreciate it. So I'd recommend everyone take a moment, get on your favorite streaming app or, steal it. Go watch K-pop Demon Hunters and have a good time with it. Or just listen to the soundtrack. Oh, wait. Sorry. I totally cut this off. This is the second time that K-pop has grabbed me in my life. And I'm not going to like go put on like the t-shirts and start waving glow sticks in the air. Those days are behind me. Right. But what I will say is I used to play this video game called League of Legends, most toxic community that there's ever been. And, they had these characters that you could spend literal hundreds of dollars to have your character in the video game look slightly different. You could pay for a skin. Like there's one that was $200, and other players could see that you had paid for it, and you could see that you had paid for it. But other than that, it didn't really do anything. Your character was exactly the same functionally. They just looked different. And they had this KDA, which is, which in the game is like your kills, death, assists. Like that's the ratio they use to determine your skill as a player. One of the ratios they use to determine your skill as a player is your KDA, your kills, death, assists. So they were KDA, the pop group, which is 4 of the female characters from the game that were these K-pop idols. And they actually released songs for them that I enjoyed so much that they're part of my Apple Music library. And I played them in Beat Saber several times. So and there's a couple of them when they still come on that they catch me. One of them is Da Dum Dum Dum, and that's the title. So these songs are not like incredibly complex, but they are really catchy. They make you tap your feet, and even if you can't dance, you want to a bit. So
what really made me want to talk about this movement, because that's kind of what it is right now. It's a movement. Is the fact that Huntrix, that group, is charting better right now than in America than real world K-pop groups.
That's fantastic. I was unaware. That's gotta hurt feelings right there. Like, oh man, I don't look as good as a cartoon.
No, but it's the sound, right? It's the sound.
It is the sound.
It's good, and like I can't recommend it enough. Makes a really good double feature with Sinners, the movie that's on HBO Max. If you have the time, really good. Importance of music in our world. It's really good.
Yeah, I do. Music moves me.
Yeah, it's great. William, we have mail.
We have actual handwritten fan mail.
Yes,
I would love it. Let's hear it.
So real quick, this is going to be, I believe, our last moment. So
yeah,
hot off the presses. This is from my mother. And I apologize. I have to remember how to read cursive here. A true millennial. Okay, Will, I completely disagree with your position. AI created art should drive art focused by creating a plethora of formula-driven art, but as humans expand art should grow by leaps and bounds. AI will most likely parody hacks and formulaic art. If we can ever formalize great masters and imagine new works in the style of Monet or musicians, we're lost. It's a future to look forward to. P.S. Diamond painting is awesome, as is original art. P.P.S. I understand the irony of sending you a hard copy.
That makes me happy.
I can respect that stance, and I'm sure that I have a long conversation to look forward to here afterwards. But yeah, that's our that's it.
That's our welcome back podcast. Yeah,
that's our welcome back podcast. What a podcast, William!
That was a lot of fun, man. Absolutely. I think we're going to be using this format a little more often. This feels good. It's a little more organic. We do have some. I do have a couple of episodes planned that'll take our older format. That'll be offline and recorded. We're going to go ahead and put this on the actual podcast release. We're actually going to bring some of our older podcasts released too. So here to YouTube. So, Will, do you have any closing statements?
No, it's good to be back, everyone. Please watch K-pop Demon Hunter. It's great. It'll make it'll. That's what good art should do, right? It just makes the world better.
Oh yeah. All right. Thank you, Will. Want to thank everyone for joining us here this evening. Appreciate your time and your patience, and it's good to be back. And we'll be back in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you. Oh wait, I forgot to find like the ending video thing. Give me a moment as I'm old. Like, is there an outro video that I can just click? Okay, there isn't. I'm just going to end the stream.